time you'll see a surprise. Once you see it, you will always want it.
Hey everybody, it's Gregory from the Friday Forge, and this week we're going to do the Napoleon A Life book by Andrew Roberts. I'm stoked for this Napoleon movie. I need to wait on a few reviews before I actually go and put money down to see it. But man, does it look good. So I had to convince Brigham to let me do this book. Not that it took that much time to convince him, but convincing nonetheless, because the hard book version of this was selling on Amazon for like $300. And all I wanted to do was just cover it with leather and move on with life. Instead, I have to take this paperback book and convert it to hardcover. So the method we're following is by the patron saint of bookbinding, Das Bookbindings. And he has an excellent way to keep the integrity of the spine. Most people, what they do is they'll rip off the cover and the spine entirely. Some even guillotine the spine off and double fan, reglue, all that fun stuff. What Das has you do is still leave a quarter of the cover on so that you can use your backer board to slide into that, and it keeps the integrity. And so you cut out these 1-inch knots on the side here, and that's what the backer board slides into, or your book board. I really appreciate this approach that he showed, because he wasn't a fan of converting paperback into hardcover until this method was brought to him. And I appreciate this because it's less messing with the book. And I'm already ruining a perfectly good book anyway, especially this being my first try. I got this excellent end paper from Hollander's Bookbinding. I'll leave a link in the description for this. Super cheap, and I'm really happy they had it because I was struggling massively on which end paper to use. I was thinking of using a marbled end paper or a picture of Napoleon, but this map of France was so detailed. Perfect. So glad it was there. I think it was only $5, which made it even more better. You're not going to get the end paper all the way back to the spine with this method, and that's probably the downside for some, but to me I don't really care. Just get it back as far as you can. This is by far my favorite process of any book build that I do. I really love to sprinkle acrylic ink across the foredge and head and tail, mostly because it just covers up my imperfection. The great thing about buying a new book is I don't have to use a sled to guillotine the edges, so it's already cut perfectly. But some people can paint, some people can trace. I can't do either, so this really fits my abilities. This part's really messy, so just make sure you clean up, put a lot of paper down. I had ink get everywhere. The color I was going for was for the French flag, so the white is for the white at the paper, which is for their flag, and red and blue. Here's where I probably should have used mix instead of straight PVA. I have methyl cellulose that I mixed up the day before. I wasn't too worried about this part, so PVA would do just fine, and it did. But for the book cloth, that's where I really struggled. In the future, I'll just remember, use mix. It takes longer to dry, but it just gives you more time, and time is really what you'll need with book cloth. I was watching a YouTube video today where he talked about how he hates using mull, because he said, how can something that's 50% air be strong? And it makes you think. I'll probably never use it again now. But then again, I know nothing, so it probably doesn't even really matter at this stage. But it is a really solid point. It makes you think, how could something 50% air be strong? But that's besides the point. Here you'll see that I'm making an Oxford hollow for the spine so that the book can throw up properly. So now it's time to add false shoulders because it's a straight back spine and not curved. So if you add cord to the edge of the Oxford hollow, you can get a false spine, or excuse me, a false shoulder. I didn't have 4mm twine, so I had 2mm. I grabbed 4 of them and twisted and turned and popped, locked, and dropped into the spine. The next tip from the patron saint of bookbinding, in Das We Trust, Das Bookbindings, he has you tap your PVA or your mix into the book cloth. That allows the glue to penetrate the fibers. Would you look at that 45-degree angle cutter by the Friday Forge? That's right, we do sell bookbinding tools. We made a 45-degree acrylic and or wood miter tool. This allows you to really get your corners so much better. Das will tell you that you need to be able to cut at a 45-degree angle and be able to eyeball it, and I agree. But I am not at his level yet. So in the meantime, I will use my tools, and we do have them for sale in our Etsy link in the description. Okay, so the struggle is real on this part. You want to get the book cloth into the Oxford hollow, and with me using straight PVA, I did not have much time. It was not on my side. That's why I should have used the mix like I said earlier, but I was too lazy. Don't be lazy. The other mistake I made was I pushed the book cloth too far deep into the hollow because I snipped the hollow not in line with the edge of the book. So just be very careful. But it worked out in the end. So initially this project was supposed to be used with leather, and I actually did. The problem is that the leather marked up, and I caught that way before I attached. So that's the great thing. Be sure to check your leather before you purchase. Make sure you can scratch it a little bit without it marring. But the good thing is we had book cloth on hand, and we improvise, adapt, and overcome. This book, because I didn't use leather, wasn't my favorite, but I learned a lot, and that's the great thing about bookbinding. Everything is compromise. I wanted leather, I went book cloth. It turned out great, and it is available for purchase if you'd like in our Etsy description. Thank you for watching, and I hope you got something out of this. If nothing else, you got entertainment. We'll see you on the next one.